said, what would you give Isak, contract-wise, 250k 5 year. Right, well, let's get into the Isak talk then, mate. You've put me in, and I will answer your question, bro. I'll leave that up while we're discussing this so I don't forget to go back to it. Right, so, on the Isak stuff, what a glorious day this is, by the way, for the news on Isak. Because it's got me excited. I won't lie, it's got me buzzing about it. So, story came out earlier on that said Alexander Isak is interested in joining Liverpool because he wants consistent Champions League football and to win trophies, which is almost guaranteed at Anfield. Firstly, how cool is that to see that written about our club? That these days people think it's almost guaranteed to win trophies if you're at Anfield. I love that. I love that we're in that position as a club. More stuff today posted. You can find these on the Anfield Agenda X account. Said links with Liverpool to Isak appear to have some substance, according to @MSI Douglas. Another one from Tandy, LFC Tandy, shout out to him on Twitter, said Alexander Isak 9 years ago. Liverpool have been in contact with you. Yeah, they have. Let's see what happens. I would love to play for them in the future. Another one from Caught Offside said Alexander Isak is reportedly one of 4 names under consideration at Liverpool to replace Darwin Núñez. So there you go. What do we think about this? Well, it's certainly encouraging because a lot of this stuff has come out today across various journalists, various platforms. So do I think it's possible? It would be a statement. You know, if you were to bring in the money for Darwin, and I don't know what that number will be, and he wants out of Newcastle, because that's what's going to have to make this happen. He's going to have to want out of Newcastle. This season in the Premier League, it's likely that 5 clubs will get Champions League places because their coefficient is so good. So, top 5 will probably get you Champions League. Now, if Newcastle don't get themselves into the Champions League, then Isak may push even harder for a move out. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that he's a serious consideration. But I think, we'll have to wait and see what happens with Darwin as well. Now, with regards to Liverpool's financial ability to go out there and sign Isak, we know we have the wiggle room with PSR. That's been pointed out many times. Do we have the willingness to do it from the ownership? That's a question I can't answer you at this moment in time. But age-wise, young enough, 24, 25, I think, if my memory's right. Premier League tried and tested. And if we bring in big money for Darwin, and you have to up that by, I don't know, X amount, maybe even Joe Gomez goes to Newcastle. I don't know how this may work out. But I think it's possible. And I've changed my stance on that a little bit because of sheer amount of stuff that's come out today to suggest that Liverpool may well be interested in it. Now, our owners, as I keep saying, let's wait and see what happens there. But and to answer your question, Corbin, about the wages I'd give him, if you're bringing in somebody for 100 million quid, as an example, and it'd probably be higher than that, but let's just say 100 million quid, well, you can't be sticking them on 60, 70 grand a week, can you? So, yeah, I would think you're talking 200 anyway. 200 upwards, I don't know. But you'd have to reflect the status and what you paid for them in the contract offer. So, let's see. It's exciting stuff, though. I mean, God, could you imagine our attack with him dropped in there? Wouldn't say no. On that article that said one of 4 names, I'd love to know the other names. I'd love to see who the other names being bandied about are. Now, what we can't have is a situation where we get strung along here for months and months and months and months and months, and lots of stories come out about Isak, and we get all the Liverpool are monitoring, Liverpool are interested, Liverpool are fond of, Liverpool are XYZ, and then we end up with a 40 million quid striker from somewhere else. So, the pressure's on FSG, Edwards and Hughes this summer. They've got to get the transfers right. They've got to invest. And then we'll see what they're made of. So, let me ask you guys, though. Let me get a poll up in the chat and see what you're thinking. Cool. So, question is, do you think LFC might actually sign Isak in the summer? Yay or nay? We'll leave that running in the background. Said, Isak is the clear first choice. However, Cunha as a plan B would also excite me either way. In my humble opinion, I threw the word humble in there for you, I don't know why. The next striker has to be Premier League proven. Cunha also has a release clause which makes the deal easy. I don't think there's value in Cunha's release clause. I think 62.3 million, something like that. And I also don't have a big enough sample size to think that Matheus Cunha would be good enough to lead our front line. So I'd be on the fence on him, Jack, to be honest with you. I would be far more excited about the idea of Isak, mate. I would. Cunha just feels like, I don't know, still feels like a roll of the dice to me. But, I'm not saying I'm right on it. We can't keep going for second choice all the time. We need the best, which Isak is. So I'm not trying to be a smart arse with this question. This is a genuine question. Who were the second choices we've gone for in the end? Again, I'm not trying to start an argument or anything. I'm just trying to refresh my own memory, because with Mohamed Salah, when he was brought in, it wasn't that it was a second choice. It was more that Klopp initially wanted Julian Brandt, and then the club wanted him to get Mohamed Salah, and they kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and obviously that was the right decision. But Alisson Becker, number one. Virgil van Dijk, number one. Endo, look, Endo was an interesting one, but I think you can justify Endo because of the price. It was a stopgap, was probably the way I'd refer to that one. But normally we haven't really gone to second on the list, and that's why we've got no transfers sometimes. It's because, like Zubimendi, as an example, he was the guy that didn't work out, and then we didn't have a plan B, or one that we were willing to go and try and get over the line. Was Núñez first choice? I believe he was, yes. But let me say this. I don't think we signed Darwin Núñez if Michael Edwards is at the club. And I mean that in a good way. Because I think we signed Darwin off the back of one good season and good performances against us. And that's dangerous. And usually when we sign players, especially for bigger money, they want a bigger sample size of good form in a high caliber league. So I don't think we signed Darwin Núñez if Michael Edwards was still at the club. AJ said Isak is too expensive, Craig. No, plus we need defenders. The Isak thing will mainly be funded by the Darwin sale, plus some extra. So, I'm not saying Isak is happening. All I'm saying is there's been very, very consistent reporting about our interest today. And it's possible. But there's going to have to be some spending done there. You're right. You're not going to get enough in for Darwin that will give you the money to go and buy Isak. You're going to have to put money on top of that. But, I do think it's... I think there's a chance. I'm not saying it's a high chance, but it will come down to some other factors that may have to come in our favour. Maybe Newcastle don't qualify for the Champions League, and that maybe forces them into having to sell, because that's another season and they won't have Champions League football money, and another PSR headache perhaps for them. So, a lot of things are going to have to happen for the transfer to fall into place, but, we can't sort that out now. Hani said, thoughts on Darwin leaving? It's the right decision. No bad feelings, no belittling the lad, none of that stuff. It's just the right decision. Hasn't worked out. Both sides have tried. Liverpool have had two different coaches now working with them. Darwin played under two different coaches. You can see it's not from a lack of effort from Darwin. He always gives it all out there on the pitch. Just hasn't worked, and sometimes that happens in football. So it's a matter of resolving it to the best outcome for both parties. Darwin has to get a move that him and his family are happy with, and Liverpool have to get a deal that they're happy with. So yeah, it's just unfortunate. It is what it is. We can't keep going on, though. We can't go into a year 3 and then keep waiting and waiting. It's not going to happen. So I think it's best to find the best way of it for everyone.